Okay, first off, let me say that these fires in LA, of course, are a completely tragic event. However, they're completely avoidable, and unfortunately, the people in California are now realizing there are consequences for the way you vote. There are consequences for electing Democrats and DEI hires. As you can see on the screen over here, so many of these people who have lost their homes in the fires are not covered by insurance because it's simply just too expensive in California to insure them. So if an event like this does happen, of course, the insurance companies can go bankrupt. And then, of course, you have the fact that the city was not prepared because all of the hydrants have run dry because they did not fill up the water collection tanks. So the firefighters are showing up and they have nothing to fight the fires with. But don't worry, there's actually good news because LA Mayor Karen Bass actually cut the fire department's funding by $17 million to fight homelessness. And yes, homelessness is a big problem in California, but you don't take away the tax dollars that the residents pay in order to have themselves protected by police, by firemen, and then reroute it to other projects and to people who don't pay taxes and don't contribute to the system. But let's go ahead and hear what Gavin Newsom has to say. But before we get these clips, don't forget to like and comment on this video so we can break through the algorithms. Here we go.
What is the situation with the water? Obviously, in Palisades ran out last night in the hydrants. I was trying the firefighter on this block. They left because there was no water in the hydrant here.
The local folks are trying to figure that out. I mean, just when you have a system that's not dissimilar to what we've seen in other extraordinarily large-scale fires, whether it be pipe, electricity, or whether it just be the complete overwhelm of the system. I mean, those hydrants are typical for 2 or 3 fires, maybe 1 fire. You have something at this scale, but again, that's going to be determined by the local.
So apparently Gavin Newsom's never heard the phrase, the buck stops here, right? He's the governor. He's responsible for the entire state. And if you don't have trust in local officials, you should be doing audits to make sure they are ready and prepared for emergency situations just like this one. But don't tell that to Gavin Newsom because this obviously is a local issue, so therefore it's their problem to fix. And speaking of local issues, let's see what the fire chief is up to.
She took time out of her already busy schedule to tell us about her vision for the department's future, one that includes a 3-year strategic plan to increase diversity.
People ask me, well, what number are you looking for? I say, I'm not looking for a number. It's never enough.
Out of 3,300 city firefighters, only 115 are women right now. She's already looking at ways to change that. She's quick to point out that doing so has a greater purpose, attracting the best and brightest for the job.
They feel included, they feel valued, and they feel part of a cohesive team.
The chief also checks another box when it comes to inclusivity and diversity at this department. She's a proud member of the LGBTQ community.
That just kind of opens the door of people that thought, wow, I didn't even know that was an opportunity.
Well, thank goodness they're concentrating on best hiring practices, right? Not big, strong men to carry fire hoses and people who may actually be in danger, but of course, a cast of diverse women who probably couldn't lift their body weight. Now, of course, if you're a woman and you want to be a firefighter, I have no problem with that as long as you can pass the physical requirements that have not been dumbed down. But obviously, this person is more concerned about diversity in her fire department as opposed to having enough people or at least calling out the warnings that, hey, our city is not prepared in case a tragedy does occur. But don't worry, I'm sure the LA mayor has some answers for us.
Do you owe citizens an apology for being absent while their homes were burning? Do you regret cutting the fire department budget by millions of dollars, Madam Mayor? Have you nothing to say today? Have you absolutely nothing to say to the citizens today? Elon Musk says that you're utterly incompetent. Are you considering your position? Madam Mayor, have you absolutely nothing to say to the citizens today who are dealing with this disaster? No apology for them? Do you think you should have been visiting Ghana while this was unfolding back home?
So that, of course, is LA Mayor Karen Bass. And rather than answer questions about what happened, what they're doing now, and what went wrong, and how to prevent it in the future, she's simply going to run away and not even acknowledge that the reporter is there in the first place. Now, if you recall, all of this scenario was completely avoidable because Donald Trump actually visited back in 2018 California after their last big wildfires and told them exactly what to do.
Cleaned out and protected. We got to take care of the floors, the floors of the forests. Very important. You look at other countries where they do it differently, and it's a whole different story. I was with the president of Finland, and he said, we have a much different, we're a forest nation. He called it a forest nation. and they spend a lot of time on raking and cleaning and doing things, and they don't have any problem. And when it is, it's a very small problem. So I know everybody's looking at that to that end.
Yes, before the leftist Democrats came into power, you actually had land management. They would clean out the floors. They would cut down trees if there's too many, so that if something did happen, yes, it wouldn't be this widespread issue that we are seeing now. But California refuses to learn, and we have fire after fire after fire, tragedy after tragedy after tragedy, right? They just refuse to get their act together. And Donald Trump actually reiterated these same exact feelings recently, but Gavin Newsom, he ain't having any of it.
I hate to even ask this question, but the president-elect chose to attack you, blame you for this.
One can't even respond to it. I mean, it's people are literally fleeing. People have lost their lives. Kids lost their schools. Families completely torn asunder. Churches burned down. This guy wanted to politicize it. I have a lot of thoughts, and I know what I want to say. I won't. I stood next to the President of the United States of America today, and I was proud to be with Joe Biden, and he had the backs of every single person in this community. He didn't play politics, didn't try to divide any of us.
So you've been told this could happen. You've been told what to do, and you refuse to act on it. You're the governor of the state. You're responsible for the well-being of your citizens, and what are you going to do about it? Complain that Donald Trump is being mean. People have lost everything, and you could have prevented all of it. But let's go ahead and hear from some real star power on this situation.
This is just incredible mismanagement, incredibly poor leadership. I would go so far as to say that it's criminally negligent because, I mean, Gavin Newsom has been either the governor for 5 years or lieutenant governor prior to that for 8-9 years. Some of the worst fires we've ever had in California under that watch. He clearly knows that the biggest problem that we suffer in California are these fires, and by the way, the mudslides that follow. And for them to do essentially not just nothing, but worse than nothing when firefighter budgets are being cut, when they are specifically intentionally not doing the work that could be done to avoid these problems or to be able to effectively serve them when they are happening, we are losing, I mean, I think it's something like millions of acres of feet of water runoff from rain and snow every year in California.
If it is true that things were handled this way, if it is true that Gavin Newsom is the absolute blithering idiot that I believe he is in the way he has handled fire management in this state again and again and again and again, this isn't a wake-up call. This is the kind of thing they have tribunals for, where they try people and say, you had an oath of office to perform certain duties. When you're the fire chief, this isn't a social justice exercise that you're in charge of. This is you getting water to areas that need water because there are fires in 100-mile-an-hour winds burning houses to the ground. I watched on a Ring camera a guy have to sit and watch his pet burn to death. You know, those things are issues of the heart.
So there's Zachary, Levi, and James Woods calling out the mismanagement, calling out the problems with the leftist Democrat system, right? No accountability, no caring about what's actually going to happen, what they're going to cause to happen, instead just passing the buck and not worrying about it. But I hope there is actually going to be some accountability at some point. I mean, there has to be, right? Otherwise, the state is going to cease to exist. But then again, it's a liberal crap hole. So who the heck knows what's going to happen? So thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, and stay safe out there, people, because they're coming after you.